Hey everyone, welcome to Midnight Mystic Stories. I noticed a lot of you who are watching and enjoying the content aren't subscribed yet. If you love spine-chilling stories, creepy encounters, and unexplained mysteries, make sure to subscribe and turn on the notification bell. It really helps the channel grow and helps us keep bringing more of the content you love. And be sure to comment below where you are tuning in from. Thank you and enjoy the video. So I never thought I'd be one of those people. The kind who actually meets someone on Tinder and ends up with a story that sounds like it came straight out of a horror movie. I mean, I've swiped left, right, whatever, mostly out of boredom. Late nights, half awake on my phone, just scrolling through faces like I'm judging a reality show I never signed up for. But then I saw him. Not because he was hot, though he was, in that quiet, mysterious way, but because his profile said one thing that made me pause. I collect things that don't belong to me. That should have been the red flag, but instead it made me laugh. Like, who says that? It felt like a joke, some inside humor only he got. His pictures were normal, hiking, coffee, a dog I didn't recognize, but his eyes, they didn't smile when his mouth did. There was something behind them, like he was watching you even when you looked away. I swiped right. Match. We started talking, and it was easy. Too easy. He remembered little things. My favorite drink, the band I mentioned once, the fact I hate cilantro like it personally offended me. It felt like he'd been paying attention longer than we'd actually been talking. Our first date was at this tiny Italian place, tucked behind a gas station on the edge of town. Not romantic, not really, but weirdly charming in a rundown kind of way. The lights were dim, the table sticky, and the music was some old Italian ballad that made the whole place feel like it was stuck in the 80s. He was already there when I walked in, sitting in the corner booth, hands folded, like he'd been waiting for hours. He stood up, polite, said my name like he'd been saying it in his head all day. We talked for 2 hours straight, about nothing and everything. Movies, stupid fears. That one time I got locked in a bathroom at a concert. He laughed at the right moments, asked questions, didn't push. When he walked me to my car, he didn't try to kiss me, just said, "I'll see you soon," like he already knew I'd say yes to the next date. And I did. The second time, we went to a drive-in movie. Not the cool retro kind with food trucks and crowds. This one was off the highway, barely lit, the screen flickering like it might die at any second. The movie was some old thriller, ironic, looking back, but I wasn't paying attention. I was watching him. The way he chewed his lip when something tense happened. How his fingers tapped the armrest in rhythm with the soundtrack. He offered me popcorn, and when our hands brushed, his skin was cold. Not just came in from outside cold. Like unnatural. I didn't say anything. Just pulled my hand back and laughed it off. After the movie, he drove me home. We didn't talk much. The silence wasn't awkward, but it wasn't comfortable either. It felt heavy. Like something was sitting between us, something unspoken. When he pulled up to my apartment, I turned to thank him, and he was already looking at me. Not smiling, just watching. "You left your jacket at the restaurant," he said. I frowned. I didn't wear a jacket. He reached into the back seat and pulled out my gray hoodie, the one I'd worn on our first date. I remember because I spilled wine on it and had to throw it out the next day. "I kept it," he said. "Washed it. Smells like you." That's when the first real wave of unease hit. Not fear, not yet. Just that slow drip of wrongness. Like when you realize you've been walking the wrong way for 10 minutes and no one told you. I took the hoodie, mumbled thanks, and got out fast. Watched him drive away in the rearview mirror. He didn't look back. I threw the hoodie in the trash. But the next morning, it was on my couch. Folded. Clean. I told myself I must have taken it out of the trash, without remembering. Sleepwalking, stress, whatever. I didn't want to believe the alternative. I blocked him on Tinder. Unmatched. Deleted the app. Tried to move on. Then the text started. Not from his number. From mine. I'd wake up to messages on my phone, sent from my own account, to a number I didn't recognize. "Do you miss me? You look pretty tonight. I was outside your window." I changed my number. Got a new phone. Told no one, not even my roommate. Felt stupid, paranoid, but I couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. My apartment started feeling smaller. The walls too close. I'd wake up with the curtains open, even though I swear I closed them. My toothbrush would be wet in the morning, like someone used it. One night, I came home late. Rain was coming down hard, the kind that turned streets into rivers. I fumbled with my keys, soaked, freezing. When I finally got the door open, the apartment was dark. Too dark. I flipped the switch. Nothing. Power was out. I grabbed my phone for light, walked through the living room. Everything looked normal. Couch, TV, my stupid plant that never dies. Then I saw it. On the coffee table. A Polaroid. Me. Sleeping. Taken from inside my room. My breath stopped. I backed up, phone shaking in my hand. That's when I heard it. A soft click from the hallway. Like a door closing. I ran. Didn't grab anything. Just bolted out the front door, down the stairs, into the rain. I didn't stop until I was 2 blocks away, panting, soaked, heart slamming against my ribs. I called the cops. Told them someone broke in. They came, searched the place. Found nothing. No signs of forced entry. No fingerprints. No one in the building saw anything. They left. I didn't go back. Stayed at a motel for 3 nights. Changed my routine. Avoided my apartment like it was cursed. On the 4th day, I finally went back. Needed clothes, my laptop, my dog. Yeah, I have a dog. A mutt named Bear. He was the only thing keeping me sane. I used a spare key from my mom's house. The door creaked open. Everything looked the same. Too same. Like nothing had changed. I went straight to the bedroom, grabbed a duffel, started throwing stuff in. Bear was whining, pacing, ears flat. He never acts like that. That's when I saw the closet door. Slightly open. I don't leave it open. I walked over, hard in my throat, pulled it wide. Empty. I laughed. Nervous, shaky. Just my imagination. Just stress. Then Bear started barking. Not at the closet. At me. I turned. On the wall, next to the mirror, was another Polaroid. Me. Holding Bear. At the park last week. But I wasn't alone in the photo. There was someone behind me. Blurry, out of focus. But tall. Wearing my gray hoodie. And holding a leash. Bear's leash. The one I lost 2 weeks ago. I dropped the photo. Backed out of the room. Bear followed, still growling. I grabbed his collar, my keys, and ran again. Drove straight to my sister's. Stayed there for days. Told her everything. She believed me. Took me to the police again. This time, they took it seriously. Came to my apartment, dusted for prints, checked the locks. Found nothing. Again. But they did find something else. In the closet. Behind the false back I never knew was there. A box. Inside, every text I'd ever sent him. Printed. Every photo I'd posted online. Printed. A lock of my hair. And Bear's old collar. The one I threw out after he chewed it up. The cops said it was a stalker. Said they'd look into it. But I knew. It wasn't just him. It was me. I started digging. Old journals. Text backups. Found messages I didn't remember sending. Photos I didn't remember taking. And then I found the therapy records. From 2 years ago. After the accident. The one I don't remember. The one that put me in the hospital for 3 weeks. The doctor's notes said I developed dissociative episodes. That I do things and not remember. That I created alternate behaviors to cope. That I had a habit of collecting things. Things that didn't belong to me. I sat there reading, my hands numb. Bear came over, nudged my leg. I looked at him. And I remembered. The dog at his place. The one I never asked about. The one that looked just like Bear. The one with the same name. The one I took. Because I thought he was mine. Because in my head, he always had been. I didn't block him. I blocked myself. And he's not coming back to get me. He's coming to get his dog. I mean, come on. We've all done it. Bored on a Sunday night. Half watching a show. Thumb sliding left and right like some kind of digital farmer harvesting potential. That's how I found him. His name was Jason. Profile pic showed him standing in front of a forest, arms crossed, wearing a dark hoodie. No cheesy smile, no duck face, not even a Jim Mira shot. Just him, trees, and this look in his eyes like he knew something you didn't. His bio said, I like long walks, quiet nights, and things that go bump in the dark. I remember laughing at that. Cheesy, sure, but it stood out. So I swiped right. Match. We started talking. Nothing wild at first, normal stuff. Movies, food. That one pizza place downtown that closes at 3 a.m. He was funny, sarcastic in that dry way that makes you actually laugh out loud. We chatted for days. Then he asked if I wanted to meet. I wasn't even sure why I said yes. Maybe it was the way he listened, like he actually cared what I said, or how he didn't push, didn't ask for photos, or try to move things fast. He suggested a diner near the edge of town, one of those old school ones with red booths and jukeboxes that only play Elvis and Fleetwood Mac. I told him I'd be there at 8. He said he'd be wearing the same hoodie. I got there first, took a seat by the window, ordered a black coffee. The place was quiet, just a couple at the counter and an older guy reading a newspaper in the back. The lights flickered once when I sat down, but I figured it was just old wiring. Jason walked in 10 minutes late. He looked exactly like his photo, maybe a little taller. Same hoodie, same intense eyes. He smiled when he saw me, not big, just a small lift at the corner of his mouth, like he was glad I showed up. We talked for over an hour. He told me he lived out past the reservoir, near the old hiking trails. Said he liked the quiet, the way the trees sound at night. I told him I preferred the city, the noise, the feeling of being around people. He nodded like he understood, but I could tell he didn't really get it. We left together. He offered to walk me to my car, which was parked a few blocks away. The night was colder than I expected, wind cutting through my jacket like it had a grudge. We walked in silence for a while. Then he asked if I wanted to see something cool. I should have said no, but I didn't. He led me down a side street, then through a gap in a chain-link fence I hadn't even noticed. Beyond it was a path, barely visible under the moonlight, winding into the woods. I hesitated, but he kept walking, so I followed. The trees closed in fast. The sound of the city faded until all I heard was our footsteps on dry leaves and the occasional snap of a twig. Jason didn't talk. I started to feel that thing you feel when you know something's off, but can't put your finger on it. Like when you wake up in the middle of the night and swear someone's watching you. I looked around, but it was just trees, shadows, the same path behind us. Then he stopped. We were in a small clearing. In the center stood an old stone well, half covered in moss and vines. It looked like something out of a horror movie, the kind you see in trailers and roll your eyes at. But here it was, real, silent, darker than the space around it. Jason walked to the edge and looked down. I stayed back, arms crossed, trying to ignore the way my skin prickled. He turned to me. "You ever hear the legend about this place?" I shook my head. Back in the 70s, a couple came here. They were arguing. Girl pushed the guy in, but he didn't die. He just changed. Started talking to the walls, screaming at shadows. They pulled him out a week later, half-starved, covered in scratches. Said something was down there with him. Something that whispered. I laughed, but it came out shaky. "You making this up?" He didn't smile. "Want to find out?" Before I could answer, he reached into his pocket and pulled out a small flashlight. He flicked it on and lowered it into the well. The beam cut through the dark, hitting the water maybe 20 feet down. The surface was still, black as oil. Then something moved. Not in the water, on the walls. Shapes, like handprints, but too big, too far apart. And they were moving upward. I stepped back. "Okay, not funny." Jason didn't move. He just kept staring down, the light trembling slightly in his hand. They say if you listen close enough, you can hear them talking. I turned to leave. That's when I heard it. A whisper. Not from the well. From behind me. I spun around. Nothing. Just trees. Then another whisper, closer. Like someone breathing right into my ear. I broke into a run, crashing through the underbrush, branches whipping my arms. I didn't look back. I didn't stop until I hit the road, chest burning, hands shaking. I drove home, without turning on the radio. Locked the doors, checked every room, even the closets. I told myself it was a prank, a weird guy with a sick sense of humor. But that night, I couldn't sleep. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw the well, the handprints, Jason's face in the moonlight. The next morning, I opened Tinder to block him. His profile was gone. Not just inactive, completely wiped. No trace. Like he never existed. I should have left it at that. But I didn't. I drove back to the diner. Talked to the waitress. Asked if she remembered the guy I was with. She frowned. Said no one matching that description had been in all week. I showed her his photo. She went pale. Said that was Lucas, a guy who went missing 2 years ago. Hiked into those woods and never came back. They found his hoodie caught on a branch near the old well. That's when it hit me. The hoodie. The same one Jason wore. The one he was wearing when he walked into the diner. I went back to the clearing. The well was still there, but the ground around it was torn up, like something had clawed its way out. And on the stone lip, fresh scratches. Deep. Recent. I pulled out my phone, shaky fingers opening Tinder again. I don't know why. Maybe part of me hoped to see his face one more time, to prove I wasn't losing it. And there he was, back online. New photo. Same hoodie. But this time, he wasn't in the woods. He was standing outside my apartment building. Caption, *Hey, missed you last night. Let's try again, *. My phone buzzed. Message from him. Just one word. Outside. I froze. Listened. Silence. Then soft at first a knock. 3 slow taps on the front door. I didn't move. Didn't breathe. Another knock. Then the doorknob turned. I'd locked it. I knew I had. But it twisted again. And again. Then stopped. Quiet. I waited 10 minutes. 20. Nothing. Finally, I crept to the door. Pressed my eye to the peephole. No one. I exhaled. Maybe it was over. Maybe I imagined it. I stepped back. Then the phone buzzed again. A photo this time. From inside the apartment. My bedroom. Taken seconds ago. Me, standing in the hallway, staring at the door. The message underneath, I'm not outside. I dropped the phone. Backed into the kitchen. Grabbed the knife from the block. My hands were slick with sweat. I scanned the rooms. Everything looked normal. Too normal. Like the air was holding its breath. I checked the windows. Locked. The back door. Locked. Then I heard it. A sound from the bedroom. Not a creak. Not a whisper. A sigh. Like someone lying in bed, half asleep. I moved slow, knife out. Heart slamming against my ribs. Pushed the bedroom door open. The room was empty. Bed untouched. Closet closed. I walked in. Turned on the light. Nothing. Just my clothes, my desk, the mirror on the wall. Then I saw it. In the reflection, behind me. The closet door was open. And in the darkness inside, 2 eyes. Glowing faintly. Watching. I spun, raised the knife. The closet was empty. Just coats, shoes, a box of old textbooks. I slammed the door shut, leaned against it, breathing hard. My reflection stared back at me in the mirror. Pale. Wide-eyed. Then it blinked. I didn't. I stumbled back. The reflection didn't move. Just stood there, smiling now. A smile I'd never made. It lifted its hand, slow, and pointed at me. I dropped the knife and ran. Didn't stop until I was in the car. Engine roaring, tires screeching onto the street. I've been driving since. Can't go home. Can't sleep. Every time I stop, the phone buzzes. New messages. New photos. Me, in places I don't remember. Sleeping. Showering. Standing in front of the mirror, staring. The last message came 5 minutes ago. Just a time. 3:17 a.m. That's when my headlights caught something in the road. A figure in a hoodie, standing still, arms at his sides. I swerved. Looked in the rear view. He was gone. But the phone buzzed again. * you can't run. I'm already inside, *. Maybe it was the boredom. Maybe it was the stupid hope that one day someone would actually seem real. Not just shirtless gym selfies or people holding fish. Or worse, those guys who use their dog as the main profile pic like that automatically makes them trustworthy. But this time, his name was Dylan, and he had this one photo where he's sitting on a dock at dusk, hoodie pulled up, looking out at the water like he's thinking about something heavy. No cheesy grin, no flexing, no dog. Just quiet. And his bio said, I like long walks, bad horror movies, and not talking too much. That last part stuck with me. I swiped right. Match. We started texting, and it was different. He didn't flood my phone. He'd reply hours later, sometimes a full day. But what he said always felt intentional. Not just, hey, or you're cute. He asked about the book I was reading. Remembered I mentioned I liked thunderstorms. Once sent me a voice note of rain hitting a tin roof, with no explanation. It was weird, but in a way that made my stomach flip, not in a bad way. We talked about music, old video games, how much we both hated small talk. After a week, he asked if I wanted to meet. I said yes before I even thought about it. He suggested this little diner off Route 9, the kind that looks like it hasn't changed since the 80s. Neon sign flickering, cracked vinyl booths, the smell of burnt coffee and old grease. I got there first, sat in a corner near the window, ordered a black coffee I didn't drink. My leg bounced under the table. I kept checking my phone, not because he was late. He was exactly on time, but because I was nervous. I always am, but this time it felt heavier, like the air was thicker. When he walked in, I almost didn't recognize him. Not because he looked different, same hoodie, same quiet eyes, but because of how he moved. Slow, deliberate, like every step was calculated. He slid into the booth across from me, nodded instead of saying hi, smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. We talked, or I talked. He listened, asked questions, but they weren't normal ones. Not, what do you do for work, or where are you from? He asked if I ever felt like I was being watched when I was alone, if I ever woke up and knew someone had been in my room, if I trusted my own memories. I laughed at first, thinking he was joking, but he didn't laugh. Just stared at me with this flat look, like he already knew the answer. I told myself to chill. Maybe he's just intense, artistic, brooding, whatever. We finished our drinks, and he suggested a walk. Said there was a trail behind the diner that led to an old reservoir. It's peaceful, he said. No one ever goes there. I hesitated. I'm not dumb. I've seen enough true crime docs to know how this can go. But something about him, how calm he was, how he didn't push, made me say okay. The trail was narrow, overgrown. Branches snagged my jacket. The sky had gone dark fast, clouds rolling in like smoke. No moon. We walked in silence, the only sound our shoes on wet leaves. After 10 minutes, he stopped and pointed to a rusted gate half hidden behind ivy. This way, he said. I followed. On the other side, the reservoir stretched out, black and still, surrounded by dead trees. The kind that looked like skeletons in the dark. He sat on a concrete slab near the edge. I stood back, arms crossed. My skin felt tight. He started talking then, not to me, but at me. Said he'd been watching me for weeks. Not in a creepy way. He insisted. He said he could feel me. That we were the same. That I didn't really trust anyone, not even myself. I told him he was wrong, but my voice came out weak. He just smiled again. Then he pulled out his phone and showed me a photo. It was me, sleeping, in my bed, taken from the corner of my room. My breath stopped. I said I didn't understand. He said, "You don't remember me, do you?" And that's when it hit me. Not recognition, but something deeper. A pressure behind my eyes. A memory pushing through like a bruise. When I was 12, I stayed at my cousin's house for a week while my parents were on vacation. There was a boy who lived next door. Quiet. Always wore hoodies. He used to sit on his porch and watch me when I played in the yard. One night, I woke up to someone in my room. I didn't scream. I just stared. He stood there, motionless, hands at his sides. Then he whispered, "You're not afraid. I like that." I fell back asleep. In the morning, I told my cousin I had a nightmare, but I never told her what it was about, and I never saw the boy again. Dylan looked exactly like him, but that was impossible. That kid would be in his 30s now. Dylan looked 25 max. I said that out loud. He didn't answer, just tilted his head, like a dog hearing a high-pitched sound. Then he said, "I never left." My chest tightened. I took a step back. He stood up slowly, hands open, like he was calming an animal. Said he'd been waiting for me to remember. that he'd tried to find me for years, that he'd seen me on Tinder and knew. I told him I needed to go. He didn't stop me, just watched as I turned and started walking back toward the gate. But halfway there, I stopped, because I remembered something else. That night, when I saw him in my room, I didn't just fall back asleep. I got up. I followed him outside. We walked to a ditch behind the houses. He showed me something in the dirt, a small wooden box. Inside was a necklace, silver, with a blue stone. He said it was mine, that I'd lost it, but I didn't remember losing it. I didn't remember any of it until now. And then I remembered giving it back to him, not because I didn't want it, but because I knew he needed it more, because it was his mother's, because I was the one who took it, because I was the one who buried her. The thought slammed into me like a truck. Not memories, asterisk knowledge star, like it had always been there, locked behind a door in my head. My hand shook. I turned back toward the reservoir. Dylan was gone, but on the concrete slab, the necklace sat, glinting under the faint light of a distant street lamp. I walked to it, picked it up. The stone was cold, and then I heard footsteps behind me. I didn't turn around. I already knew who it was. Not Dylan. Me. The me from that night. The one who wore black gloves and dug in the dirt. The one who whispered to a boy with sad eyes and promised it would be okay. The one who told him to wait, to be patient, to find me again when the time was right. And now it was. I slipped the necklace around my neck. The footsteps stopped. I smiled, not because I was happy, but because I was home. I was half awake on my couch, one eye on a show I wasn't really watching, the other scrolling through Tinder like it was some kind of digital comfort food. My thumb moved on autopilot, left, right, left, until her face stopped me. Not because she was the prettiest, I've seen hotter, but because she looked real. No duck face, no mirror bathroom shots, just her smiling in what looked like a forest clearing, sunlight cutting through the trees, behind her like golden blades. Her bio was short. Love long walks, thunderstorms, and things that go bump in the night. I laughed. Cheesy but charming. I swiped right. Match. We started talking, easy at first, music, movies, how much we both hated cilantro. And then it got deeper, faster than I expected. She asked questions no one ever asks. Not what do you do, but what keeps you up at 3 a.m.? Not where are you from, but do you ever feel like someone's watching you when you're alone? I told her yes. I didn't know why, but I did. And she said, me too. We met up a week later at this little coffee shop downtown, the kind with mismatched chairs and art on the walls that looks like it was painted by someone who just discovered colors. She was smaller in person, with dark hair that fell just past her shoulders and eyes that changed color depending on the light. Green 1 second, gray the next. She wore a thin silver chain with a tiny key on it, and when I asked what it opened, she just smiled and said, "Maybe you'll find out." I liked that. Mystery. It made her feel like a secret I actually wanted to solve. After coffee, we walked. Just walked. No destination. The air was thick that night, the kind of humidity that makes your shirt stick to your back even though it's not that hot. Streetlights flickered above us like they were blinking in Morse code. She talked about how she used to live out in the woods with her mom when she was a kid, how they'd hear footsteps around the house at night, but never find anyone. Not animals, she said. Too slow. Like someone testing the ground with each step. I nodded, not sure if she was serious or just messing with me. But the way she said it, quiet, steady, like she was remembering something she didn't want to, made my skin tighten. We ended up at her place. Not because I expected anything, but because it felt natural, like the night had its own current, and we were just floating with it. Her apartment was on the 3rd floor of an old brick building with no elevator, the kind where the stairs creak like they're warning you to turn back. Inside, it was warm but not cozy. Too many candles, too many mirrors. One in particular caught my eye, tall, leaning against the wall like it was tired, its frame carved with symbols that didn't look like any language I knew. The reflection in it was off. My face looked stretched, like the glass was warped, but when I moved closer, it snapped back to normal. I chalked it up to cheap glass. She made tea. Chamomile, she said. I didn't taste it. I just held the cup and watched her sit across from me, her fingers tracing the rim of her own mug. Then she asked if I wanted to see something cool. Of course I said yes. She led me down a narrow hallway, the floorboards groaning under our weight, and stopped in front of a door I hadn't noticed before. It was old, solid wood, with a lock that looked rusted shut. But she pulled the key from around her neck, slid it in, and turned. The mechanism clicked like a bone snapping. Inside was a small room, no windows, just a single bare bulb hanging from the ceiling. In the center stood a wooden chair, facing the wall. On the wall itself, someone had drawn a large circle in black chalk, filled with lines and symbols that made my eyes hurt when I stared too long. Mira stepped inside, motioning for me to follow. I hesitated, but my feet moved anyway. She closed the door behind us and said, "This is where I talk to him." I didn't ask who. I didn't want to know. But she told me anyway. He's been with me since I was little. Lives in the quiet spaces. Watches. Listens. Sometimes he speaks, but only when no one else is around. He likes it when I bring people here. He gets hungry. My chest tightened. I wanted to leave, but I couldn't move. Not because I was scared, though I was, but because something in the room was holding me, like the air itself had turned to syrup. Mira walked over to the chair and sat, crossing her legs, like we were having a normal conversation. "He says you're different," she said, her voice flat. "Says you felt him before. In your house. In your dreams. At the edge of your vision when you're half asleep." I didn't answer, because it was true. I had, for years, a presence, a weight, a sense that I was never really alone, even when I locked the doors, even when I turned off the lights. I thought it was stress, anxiety. But now, standing in this room, I knew it wasn't. It was him. Mira stood up and walked toward me. Not fast, not slow, just steady. Her eyes weren't changing colors anymore. They were black. Not dark brown, not shadowed black. Like ink. She reached up and touched my face. Her fingers were cold. "He wants to thank you," she said, "for coming, for listening, for finally showing up." Then she stepped aside, and I saw it. In the mirror on the far wall, there was one I hadn't noticed before. My reflection wasn't mine. It was me, but wrong. The face was longer, the mouth too wide, the eyes sunken and hollow. And it was smiling, not at me, at something behind me. I turned. Nothing there. But I felt it. A breath on the back of my neck. A hand, not touching but close, hovering just above my shoulder. The air dropped 10 degrees. My breath fogged. The light bulb flickered once, twice, then died. Darkness, but not silence. Whispering, from every direction. Words I couldn't understand. Syllables that slithered into my ears like worms. I backed toward the door, fumbling for the knob. It turned. I pulled. It didn't open. Locked. From the outside. Mira was gone. The whispers got louder. Closer. I dropped to my knees, covering my ears, but it didn't help. They were inside my head now. And then, one voice cut through the rest. Clear. Familiar. "You let me in," it said. Asterisk, "you always let me in." Every time you looked in the mirror and wondered who was really there. Every time you heard a noise and told yourself it was nothing. You invited me. You fed me. And now I'm full, asterisk. The light came back. Flickered. Stayed on. The room was empty. No chair. No circle. No door. Just me. And the mirror. I ran to it. My face was there. Normal. Sweating. Breathing. But then, slowly, my reflection stopped moving with me. It stayed still. And smiled. I didn't scream. I couldn't. My mouth opened, but no sound came out. The reflection raised its hand and pressed it against the glass. I did the same. Our palms touched. And then, without breaking eye contact, my reflection mouthed 2 words. "Thank you." I stepped back. Turned. The door was there again. Unlocked. I ran. Down the hall. Down the stairs. Out into the street. I didn't stop until I was home. Door locked. Lights on. Every window checked twice. But I know it's pointless. Because when I looked in the bathroom mirror later, I saw it again. That tiny flicker. That almost smile. And I realized something worse than him being in the mirror. I'm not in mine anymore. I'm in his. I never thought I'd be the guy swiping through Tinder at 1 in the morning, especially not after what happened last time. But loneliness hits different when you're stuck in a new city with a dead-end job and a roommate who never comes home. So there I was, thumbs sliding left, right, left, same faces, same bios, same tired pickup lines. Then she showed up. Her name was Lila. Not exotic, not trying too hard. Just a girl with dark brown hair pulled into a messy bun, standing in front of what looked like an old bookstore. Her smile wasn't perfect, but it was real. Crooked on one side, like she didn't pose much. Her bio said she liked rainy nights, old horror movies, and talking until the sun comes up. I thought, okay, that's not generic. I messaged her. Something dumb about how I'd never seen a bookstore that looked that depressing and cool at the same time. She replied fast. Too fast. Like she was waiting. We talked for hours. She didn't use emojis, didn't double text, didn't pretend to be busy. She asked questions, real ones, not the hey, what's up filler stuff. She wanted to know what I was afraid of, what music I listened to when no one was around, if I believed in ghosts. I told her I didn't, but I used to sleep with the lights on until I was 16. She said she believed in them, not the Hollywood kind, but the quiet ones, the ones that stay in the corners of old houses and whisper when you're half asleep. We agreed to meet at a little coffee shop downtown called the Hollow Bean. It was one of those places with mismatched chairs and a cat that looked like it hated everyone. I got there early, ordered a black coffee, and sat by the window. Rain started tapping the glass just as she walked in. She looked exactly like her pictures, which was rare. Wore a gray hoodie, jeans, boots with the laces untied. She smiled when she saw me, not big, just enough. Sat across from me and said, "You look tired." I laughed, said I hadn't slept well. She nodded like she already knew. We talked about nothing and everything, books, bad weather, the weird guy who always feeds pigeons in the park like they're his family. She had this way of listening, like every word I said mattered. Not fake interest. Real. I caught myself staring a few times, not because she was stunning, but because she felt familiar, like I'd known her from somewhere, but couldn't place it. We left together when the rain slowed to a drizzle. She didn't have an umbrella. I offered to walk her home. She lived only a few blocks away, in one of those old brick buildings near the river, the kind with iron railings and peeling paint. She lived on the 3rd floor. As we climbed the stairs, I noticed the walls were covered in these faded floral wallpapers, the kind that used to be fancy, but now just looked sad. Her apartment was small but clean, wooden floors, a record player in the corner, shelves full of books with cracked spines. She offered me tea. I said yes, even though I hate tea. She disappeared into the kitchen, and I wandered over to the window. The river was barely visible through the fog, a dark ribbon cutting through the city. That's when I saw it. A photo on the mantel. Me. Not me like. A picture I recognized. But me. Standing in front of my old high school. I hadn't posted that anywhere. I picked it up. The frame was cold. Behind it, a note in messy handwriting. Asterisk he doesn't remember yet, but he will asterisk. My chest tightened. I put it back, just as she came in with 2 mugs. I didn't say anything. Couldn't. She handed me mine and sat on the couch, tucking her legs under her. "You okay?" she asked. I nodded, took a sip. The tea tasted bitter, metallic. I set it down. She didn't seem to notice. We talked more, but it felt different now. Her eyes stayed on me too long. Her voice stayed calm, too steady, like she was waiting for something. I made an excuse to leave. Said I had work early. She didn't argue, just smiled and said, "See you soon." I walked home fast, hands in my pockets, heart thudding. I didn't sleep that night. Kept thinking about the photo. How did she get it? I'd never met her before. Checked my socials, nothing. No tags, no messages, no mutual friends. I tried to forget it, but the next day my phone buzzed. A message from her. "You left your jacket here. I didn't wear a jacket." I replied, "I didn't bring one." She sent back a photo. My black jacket, draped over her couch. I didn't own a black jacket, but it looked like mine. Same brand. Same worn spot on the left shoulder. I told her she was mistaken. She didn't reply. That night, I woke up to my phone glowing. A new message. A video. I opened it. It was dark. The camera panned across a room, my bed, my clothes on the floor. Then it tilted down. Under the bed, there was something there. A box. Old wooden, covered in dust. I didn't have a box under my bed. I got up, pulled my bed away from the wall, and looked. Nothing. I breathed, okay, it's a prank. But the next morning, there it was. Exactly like in the video. Sitting in the middle of my floor. No note. No explanation. I opened it. Inside were photos. Dozens of them. Me as a kid. Me on my first day of college. Me at a gas station 2 weeks ago, buying a soda. All taken from angles I couldn't explain. Hidden shots. And at the bottom, a small notebook. I flipped it open. Every entry was in the same handwriting as the note in the frame. Asterisk day 17. He smiled today. Not fake. Real. Progress. Asterisk day 42. He mentioned the fire. Doesn't remember her face, but he remembers the smoke. Asterisk day 89. He's starting to look at me like he knows. But he doesn't. Not yet. Asterisk. My hand shook. The fire. I remembered that. When I was 10, our house burned down. My mom didn't make it out. I was the only one home. I survived by hiding in the basement. But no one knew I remembered that. I told therapists I didn't. I didn't even think about it unless it came up. How did she know? I deleted her profile. Blocked her number. Changed my locks. Thought that would be it. But the next day, a package arrived. No return address. Inside was a cassette tape and a note. Asterisk, play it. You need to hear her voice again. Asterisk. I didn't want to, but I did. I found an old player at a thrift store. Put the tape in. At first, silence. Then breathing. Then a woman's voice, soft, tired. Daniel, if you're hearing this, I'm gone. The house, it's not safe. He's been watching. The man in the gray coat. He's been here before. I tried to keep you away, but he knows. He knows what we saw. My blood froze. That wasn't my mom's voice. I'd listened to recordings of her before. This wasn't her. The voice kept going. Don't trust the girl with a crooked smile. She's not who you think. She's been waiting. She's been inside the house. She was there that night. I ejected the tape. Threw it in the trash. But that night I dreamed of smoke. Of running through dark hallways. Of a hand grabbing mine, small, cold. A girl's voice whispering. You promised you wouldn't tell. I woke up sweating. My phone was on the floor. Screen lit. A message from an unknown number. A single photo. Me asleep in my bed. Taken minutes ago. And in the reflection of the mirror across the room, her. Lila. Standing in the corner. Smiling. I packed a bag. Left the apartment. Checked into a motel on the edge of town. No name. Cash only. Turned off my phone. Stayed there 2 days. On the third night, I heard knocking. Soft. Persistent. At the door. I looked through the peephole. Nothing. Opened it a crack. No one. But on the ground, a folded piece of paper. I picked it up. It was a drawing. A house on fire. 2 figures running out. One small. One tall. And written underneath. Asterisk, you said you'd protect me. But you ran. You left me in the basement. Again, asterisk. My breath stopped. I didn't run. I passed out. That's what the report said. I was found unconscious in the basement. But I didn't remember that. Not until now. Not until I remembered the other child. The girl they never found. The one no one knew was there. The door creaked open behind me. I turned slowly. She stood there. Same hoodie. Same crooked smile. You remember now, she said. Not a question. I couldn't speak. My legs wouldn't move. You left me, she whispered. You said you'd come back. But you didn't. You forgot me. Just like everyone else. I wanted to say I'm sorry. I wanted to run. But my body wouldn't listen. She stepped forward. Closed the door behind her. I never thought swiping right on a random girl in a hoodie would lead to me sitting in my car outside an abandoned gas station at 2:17 a.m., Heart slamming against my ribs like it's trying to escape. Her profile was normal enough, nothing flashy. Just a girl named Maya with messy brown hair, a dog she never named, and a bio that said, probably overthinking. We matched, chatted for a few days, nothing too deep. Just the usual back and forth, music, favorite movies. That one weird dream she had about floating above her childhood home. She laughed at my jokes, asked questions, actually listened. Felt real. Too real, maybe. Then she sent a photo. Not a selfie. A picture of a gas station sign, flickering under a dim yellow light. The glass was cracked, the pump handles dangling like broken arms. The caption read, "I'm here. Come see me. I know it's late. I'll wait." I stared at the screen for 10 minutes, thumb hovering over delete. Something about the image felt off. The way the shadows pooled under the awning. The fact that no cars were around. Not even a flicker of movement in the convenience store window. But then another message popped up. "I'm scared. Please come." I told myself it was just anxiety. Maybe she'd had a fight with her parents. Maybe she needed someone. I wasn't the hero type, but I wasn't heartless either. So I grabbed my keys, told my mom I was going to grab snacks, and drove the 20 minutes to the old Shell station on Route 9. Same one in the photo. The road got quieter the farther I went. Streetlights spaced farther apart. Trees pressing in from both sides like they were watching. When I finally turned onto the gravel lot, my headlights swept across the pumps, frozen in time. The sign buzzed, the N in Shell, blinking out every few seconds. The air inside my car suddenly felt thick, like breathing through a wet towel. I sat there, engine running, scanning the place. Nothing moved. No Maya. No dog. No life. I texted, "I'm here. Where are you?" No reply. I killed the engine. The silence that followed was loud. Crickets, sure, but underneath it, something else. A low hum, like old wiring or a fridge left on in an empty house. I stepped out, gravel crunching under my shoes. My breath came in short puffs, the cold catching in my throat. I walked toward the store, phone flashlight cutting through the dark. The door was ajar, glass door cracked down the middle. Inside, shelves were toppled, wrappers scattered, but no blood, no signs of a break-in. Just decay. Like time stopped years ago. I called her name. Nothing. Then my phone buzzed. A message. From Maya. "Behind you." I spun around. Lights swinging across the pumps, the empty road, the tree line. Nothing. My pulse kicked up. I checked the message again. It was sent 2 minutes ago. I stared at the screen, then back at the lot. Nothing had changed. But then I noticed it, the second pump from the left. The handle was off the cradle. It hadn't been before. I took a step back. My phone buzzed again. Closer. This time, the message had a photo attached. A live photo. Me, standing in front of the store, backlit by my headlights, face pale in the glow of my phone. Taken from behind. I whirled, scanning the darkness. My breath came faster now, chest tight. I backed toward my car, fumbling with the keys. Got in, locked the doors, started the engine. Then my phone buzzed one more time. "You didn't think I'd let you leave, did you?" I dropped the phone like it burned. Stared at the rear view. Nothing there. I slammed the car into reverse, tires spitting gravel, and peeled out onto the road. I didn't look back. Not once. Drove straight home. Heart still pounding. Hand shaking on the wheel. Locked the front door behind me. Checked every room, even the basement. Nothing out of place. I threw my phone on the couch, poured myself a glass of water, tried to calm down. That's when I noticed the photo. Still on the screen. The one from the gas station. Me standing there. But now, in the reflection of the broken store window, there was someone behind me. A figure. Hood up. Face hidden. Hand reaching toward my shoulder. I threw the phone into the couch cushions like it was alive. I didn't sleep that night. Just sat on the edge of my bed, watching the door, listening to every creak in the house. Morning came, pale and quiet. I told myself it was a prank. A deep fake, a hacked account, something. Anything. I picked up my phone, opened Tinder. Maya's profile was gone. Searched my messages. Nothing. No conversation. No photos. Just a blank chat thread that said Maya at the top and no messages below. I almost believed it hadn't happened. Then, later that day, I passed a convenience store on my way to my cousin's place. Same layout, same flickering sign. And standing outside, hoodie up, hands in pockets, her. Maya. I slammed on the brakes, tires screeching. My heart jumped into my throat. I stared. She didn't move. Just stood there, still as a statue. I grabbed my phone, opened the camera, zoomed in. Nothing. No face. Just shadow under the hood. I drove off. Didn't stop. Didn't look back. But that night, I woke up to the sound of my phone vibrating on the nightstand. Screen lit up. A notification. Maya has liked your profile. I didn't open it. Just turned the phone face down and lay there, staring at the ceiling. The air in the room felt heavier, like someone was standing in the corner, watching. I didn't move. Didn't breathe loud. Eventually, I must have fallen asleep. Next morning, my phone was on the floor. Screen cracked. But the wallpaper was different. It was a photo of me, sleeping, taken from the foot of my bed. And in the background, barely visible in the dim light, a hooded figure standing in the doorway. I didn't report it. Didn't tell anyone. What would I say? That a girl who doesn't exist is haunting my phone? That she shows up places she shouldn't? I deleted Tinder, turned off location, changed my number. Thought that would be enough. It wasn't. She texts me sometimes, from numbers I don't know. Sends photos of my car, my front porch, the back of my head while I'm walking to class. Always the same message. I'm closer. I don't know how she gets in. I check the locks, windows, everything. But every few days, something's moved. My laptop's open to a blank document. My jacket's hanging on the wrong hook. Once, I found a dog leash on my bed. Same one from her profile. Except now I know the dog wasn't hers. It was mine. When I was 12, I had a mutt named Rex. Got hit by a car right outside this old gas station. I still remember carrying his body to the side of the road, crying, begging him to wake up. The station was still open then. I called my dad from the payphone. He came, helped me bury Rex behind the store. Never told anyone, not even my mom. I don't think Maya's real. I think she's something else. Something that found my memories, my guilt, my loneliness. And now she won't let go. I see her everywhere. In the corner of my eye. In reflections. In the static between channels on the TV. Always hooded. Always silent. Just watching. Last night, I woke up and she was sitting at the foot of my bed. Not a photo. Not a message. Her. Real. The hood shadowed her face, but I felt her staring. I couldn't move. Couldn't scream. Just lay there, frozen, as she slowly reached out and placed a cold hand on my ankle. This morning, my phone was gone, but I found it in the backyard, buried 6 inches under the dirt. Screen smashed. But before the battery died, it opened one last message. From me. To me. I'm home. So I downloaded Tinder again after like 6 months of swearing I was done with it. I deleted it last time because every match felt like scrolling through a menu of bad decisions. But everyone else was doing it, right? My friends kept saying I needed to get out more, that I was spending too much time alone in my apartment, editing videos for YouTube no one watched. And honestly, I was bored. Lonely maybe. So I gave in, swiped a few times, posted some pics, nothing too try-hard. Just me in a hoodie at that coffee shop downtown. Another one at the lake last summer, smiling like I wasn't thinking about how cold the water looked. That's when I matched with Jake. His profile was normal. Clean-cut guy, early 30s, works in construction, likes hiking and dogs. Nothing flashy. His photos were all outdoorsy. Him on a trail with a golden retriever, grilling at a backyard party. Another one in front of a cabin with snow on the ground. Nothing suspicious. He didn't use those duck-faced gym selfies or wear sunglasses in every shot like half the guys on there. We started talking, and he was easy to talk to. Not too intense, not too quiet. He asked about my videos, actually watched one, said he liked how I explained things. Small talk, but it didn't feel forced. After a few days, he suggested meeting up. I said no at first. Not because I didn't want to, but because I'd learned the hard way that meeting strangers from apps can go sideways real quick. But he was patient, didn't push. We kept chatting, sent dumb memes, talked about our favorite movies, our worst jobs. He told me about growing up in a small town up north, how he used to fix cars with his dad. I told him about my weird obsession with old VHS tapes and how I collect them from thrift stores. He thought that was cool. Said he had a box of old tapes in his garage. Hadn't looked at them in years. Eventually, I agreed to meet. Not dinner, not a bar. He suggested a walk in Miller's Grove, this big park on the edge of the city with trails and a creek running through it. Daytime. Public. Felt safe. I told my roommate Sarah I'd be back by 5. Left my phone charged on the kitchen counter before I left, just in case. The day was weirdly warm for November. Gray sky, but no rain. Wind moving the trees in that slow, heavy way that makes everything feel quieter. I got there first, sat on a bench near the trailhead, scrolling through my phone, pretending I wasn't nervous. He showed up 10 minutes late, apologizing, said his truck broke down on the way. He looked exactly like his pictures. Tall, broad shoulders, wore a flannel over a black t-shirt, jeans, work boots. Smelled like pine and soap. We started walking. At first, it was fine. We talked about nothing important. The leaves were mostly gone, just skeletons of trees overhead. The trail curved through thick woods, then opened up near the creek. He pointed out animal tracks in mud, told me which were deer, which were probably raccoons. He knew a lot about the outdoors. Said he spent weekends camping alone sometimes, just to disconnect. I told him I'd never really done that. Always seemed too risky. He laughed and said most people are more scared of nature than they should be. The real danger's usually other people, he said. I didn't think much of it then. We kept walking. The park started to thin out. Fewer people. The trail got narrower, more overgrown. I checked my phone. No signal. I mentioned it, and he said that happens sometimes this far in. Trail loops back around in about 20 minutes, he said. We'll double back soon. But we didn't. Instead, he veered off onto a side path I didn't remember seeing on the map. It wasn't marked. Just a dirt trail barely wide enough for one person. I hesitated, but he kept going. So I followed. The trees closed in. Light got dim. The air felt heavier, like the woods were holding their breath. Then he stopped, looked at me, kind of sideways, like he was studying my face. You ever feel like you're being watched? He asked. I laughed, but it came out wrong, too loud, too fast. No. Why? He didn't answer, just kept looking. Then he smiled. Not a mean smile, but not warm either. Like he knew something I didn't. Just curious, he said. Some people say this part of the woods has a vibe, like someone's still here. I didn't like the way he said, still here. But I played it cool. Ghosts. Not ghosts, he said. More like echoes. Things that don't leave, even when the person's gone. I tried to make a joke, something about horror movies, but my throat felt tight. We kept walking, but slower now. The trail dipped down into a hollow. There was an old stone foundation there, half buried in leaves. A chimney stack, leaning. Used to be a ranger's cabin, he said. Burned down years ago. No one rebuilt it. He walked toward it, crouched by the remains of a wall, brushed leaves aside, pulled out a small metal box. Rusty, but sealed. Found this a while back, he said. Never opened it. I stood back, arms crossed. Why show it to me? He looked up. Because you're the first person who might understand. That's when I noticed the tapes. Inside the box. 3 VHS cassettes, labeled in black marker. One said May 12th. Another July 3rd. The last one, October 28th. No names. No context. My stomach dropped. That's weird, I said. Why would someone leave tapes here? He stood, brushed dirt off his jeans. I think they wanted someone to find them. Not just anyone. Someone who'd care. Someone who'd watch. I took a step back. You've never seen them? No. But I know what's on them. How? He didn't answer. Just stared at me. Same look as before. Then he said, You collect tapes, right? You restore them. You'd know how to play something like this. I shook my head. I'm not touching that. That's creepy as hell. He didn't argue. Just put the box back, covered it with leaves. I get it. Too much, too fast. Let's head back. We walked in silence. The whole way. I kept thinking about those dates. October 28th. 2 weeks ago. I checked my phone when we got back to the parking lot. Still no signal until we were nearly out of the woods. I didn't text him after. Didn't want to. Something about the whole thing sat wrong in my gut. But 2 days later, a package showed up at my door. No return address. Inside was one of the tapes. October 28th. My name written on the label in the same handwriting. I almost threw it in the trash. But I didn't. I kept it on my desk for a day, then another. Then, late at night, I put it in my old VCR. The screen flickered. Static. Then footage. It was dark. Shaky camera. The woods. Same trail. Then a figure. Me. Walking, talking, glancing at my phone. I recognized the hoodie, the backpack. It was from today. The date on the tape was wrong. It wasn't October. It was yesterday. I froze. Rewound. Played it again. There I was, clear as anything. Jake wasn't in the shot, but his voice came through the audio, low, calm. She doesn't know yet, but she will. They always do. The video cut to black. I unplugged the VCR. Threw the tape in a drawer. Didn't sleep. Next morning, I drove back to the park. Found the foundation. Dug up the box. The other 2 tapes were still there. May 12th and July 3rd. I took them home. Watched them. May 12th was a girl with red hair, walking alone. July 3rd was a guy in a baseball cap. Both in the woods. Both unaware. Both with Jake's voice whispering in the background. I called the police. Showed them the tapes. They checked missing persons. Red hair girl, vanished May 14th. Baseball cap guy, reported July 5th. Both last seen near Miller's Grove. They found Jake's truck abandoned near the trailhead a week later. No sign of him. No leads. I moved out of the city. Changed my number. Stopped collecting tapes. But last night, I heard a knock. No one at the door. Just a small package on the mat. Inside was a new tape. Label says today. I haven't opened it. So there I was, scrolling through Tinder at like 2 in the morning. The blue glow of my phone, the only thing lighting up my messy bedroom. My dog, a scruffy little mutt named Waffles, was snoring at the foot of the bed, like he hadn't a care in the world. I was bored, restless. The kind of bored where you start questioning your life choices, just to pass the time. That's how I ended up swiping right on a guy named Jared. His profile was clean. Not too much info, just a few pics. One of him hiking, one with a golden retriever, one where he's smiling in front of a coffee shop. Nothing crazy, but something about his eyes, dark, intense, like he was looking right through the camera, made me pause. I don't know why I matched with him. Maybe I was tired of talking to guys who only said, hey, and then ghosted. Maybe I just wanted to feel like someone out there actually existed. We started chatting, and he was different. Not in a red flag way, just thoughtful. Asked about my day. Remembered I liked horror movies. Even recommended one I hadn't seen. It felt real. Too real, almost. But I ignored the tiny voice in my head that said this is too easy. A few days later, he asked if I wanted to meet up. I said no at first. I'm not stupid. But he was chill about it, didn't push. Then he sent a photo of his ID and his dog's vet records, like proof he wasn't a serial killer. That cracked me up. It was such a weird, oddly specific thing to do. It actually made me trust him more. So I agreed. We decided on a diner, public, open late, easy to leave if things went south. I told my roommate where I was going, left my location on. All the standard safety stuff. The night of the date, I got ready like it was any other. Jeans, hoodie, messy bun. I didn't want to overthink it. The diner was on the edge of town, near the old industrial area. Not sketchy, but quiet. Street lights flickered like they were half asleep. When I walked in, Jared was already there, sitting in a booth by the window. He looked exactly like his pictures, maybe even better in person. Tall, dark hair, that same calm smile. We talked for hours. About movies, music, stupid college stories. He had this way of listening. Like every word I said actually mattered. I caught myself laughing more than I had in weeks. At one point, he reached across the table and brushed a crumb off my jacket. His fingers were cold. I didn't think much of it. We ended up walking around after, just talking. The streets were empty. The kind of quiet that makes your footsteps echo too loud. He lived nearby, he said, in this old converted warehouse apartment. Offered to show me his record collection. I hesitated, but he didn't push. Said I could come up for 5 minutes. No pressure. I don't know why I said yes. Maybe I was caught up in the moment. Maybe I just didn't want the night to end. His place was strange. Not bad, just off. The hallway smelled like old books and something faintly metallic. The elevator groaned like it might give up halfway. His apartment was on the 5th floor, door 509. Inside, it was dim, lit only by a few salt lamps that gave everything an orange glow. Records lined one wall, floor to ceiling. But the weirdest thing was the silence. No hum of a fridge, no distant traffic, just dead air. He offered me tea. I said sure. While he was in the kitchen, I looked around. Noticed there were no mirrors. Not one. Not in the bathroom. Not in the hallway. Not even a shiny surface. That's when the first real pang of unease hit me. He came back with 2 mugs. We sat on the couch. The tea tasted bitter, not how it smelled. I took small sips, pretending to enjoy it. He started talking about dreams. How he had this recurring one where he was walking through a house that kept changing. Walls moved. Doors led to places they shouldn't. He said he'd wake up and feel like he was still inside it. I laughed it off, but my skin prickled. Then he looked at me and said, "You ever feel like you're being watched, even when you're alone?" I froze, because I had, for weeks. Like someone was standing just behind me, just out of sight. I never told anyone that. I made an excuse to leave. Said I had to get home. He didn't argue, just smiled and said, "I'll walk you to the elevator." On the way, I noticed something on the wall, photos. Dozens of them. All women. All in public places. Cafes, parks, sidewalks. And every one of them looked familiar, because they were screenshots from Tinder. Profiles I recognized. Some I'd even swiped on. My stomach dropped. I didn't say anything. Just kept walking. The elevator doors opened. I stepped in. He didn't. Just stood there, still smiling. "See you soon," he said. The doors closed. I ran home. Didn't stop. Didn't look back. Locked my door. Checked every window. Texted my roommate like 3 times. Tried to sleep. But I couldn't shake the feeling. Like the air in my room was heavier. Like the shadows in the corner were too still. The next morning, I opened Tinder. My messages with Jared were gone. His profile gone. Like he never existed. I searched his name, his number, nothing. I even drove back to the warehouse. The building was abandoned. No lights, no cars, no sign anyone had lived there in years. The door to 509 was boarded up. I thought it was over. Thought I dodged it. But then the dream started. Same one every night. I'm in a hallway. Endless doors. I open one, and it's my apartment. I open another, and it's the diner. Another, and it's Jared's place. I hear footsteps behind me. But when I turn, no one's there. Just a faint smell of tea. I wake up drenched in sweat. Heart slamming. A week later, I got a package. No return address. Inside was a salt lamp, just like the ones in his apartment. And a note. Handwritten. "You left your teacup behind." My hand shook so bad I dropped it. I threw the lamp in the trash, reported the package, tried to forget it. But that night I heard it. A soft clink from the kitchen, like a mug being set down. I got up, turned on the light. Nothing. But the air smelled like that bitter tea. I started avoiding mirrors. Not because I was scared of what I'd see, but because I wasn't sure it was me looking back. Sometimes, in the corner of my eye, I see movement. A shadow that doesn't match mine. I hear whispers when the house is silent. And every time I close my eyes, I'm back in that hallway. Last night, I woke up to the sound of music. Old vinyl, faint, coming from nowhere. I followed it barefoot, hard in my throat. It led me to my closet. I opened the door. Inside, tucked behind my jackets, was a record player. Turntable spinning. A record I'd never seen before. On the label, handwritten, "Asterisk for you." Side A only asterisk. I didn't play it. I couldn't. I unplugged it, shoved it in a box, drove to the dump at 3 a.m., threw it in the deepest bin I could find. But when I got home, the music was already playing. Soft, familiar, like it had never stopped. And now, as I write this, I can hear footsteps in the hallway outside my door. Slow, even. They stop right in front of my apartment. I'm not alone. I haven't been for a while. I just checked the peephole. There's no one there. But the door is open. I didn't think much of it at first. My phone was always buzzing with notifications, but most were memes from my cousin or reminders to pay my water bill. Then one night, bored out of my mind, I opened the app. Swiped left on a few gym bros. A girl with 6 cats in every photo. Some dude holding a fish like it was a trophy. Then I saw her. Her name was Maya. Profile picture was her laughing in what looked like a sunlit kitchen. Sunlight hitting her brown curls just right. She had this smile that made you feel like you already knew her. Bio said she liked vinyl records, rainy days, and making scrambled eggs at 3 a.m. No gym selfies, no duck faces, no filters. Just real. I swiped right. Match. She messaged first, something about how my profile said I liked old horror movies, and asked if I'd seen The Changeling. I hadn't, but I lied and said I had, because I didn't want to look like a total noob. She replied fast, like she'd been waiting. We talked for hours that night. About movies, music, how much we both hated cilantro. It felt easy. Too easy, maybe, but I didn't care. After a week of constant texting, she suggested we meet. She picked a place, a little coffee shop downtown called The Roost. Said it was quiet, had the best oat milk lattes, and was always empty after 8. I showed up 20 minutes early, mostly because I was nervous. The place was tucked between a boarded-up bookstore and a laundromat that still had its lights on, even though it was past closing. The Roost had this weird vibe, dim lighting, mismatched furniture, a record player spinning something soft and jazzy in the corner. I took a seat near the back, ordered a black coffee, and waited. She walked in exactly at 8. Looked just like her pictures, maybe even better. Wore a green sweater and jeans, hair tied up in a messy bun. Smiled when she saw me. We talked like we'd known each other for years. She told me about her job at a plant shop, how she lived alone in a basement apartment near the river. I told her about my dead-end retail job, my obsession with horror movies, how I still lived with my mom but was saving up to move out. The time flew. 2 hours passed like minutes. When she said she had to go, I didn't want her to. She gave me a hug before leaving, warm, soft, real. I watched her walk out, disappear into the foggy night. We started seeing each other more. Not every day, but enough. Always at the Roost. Always late at night. She never wanted to go anywhere else. Said she didn't like crowds, didn't trust bright lights. I didn't think much of it. I was into her. Like, really into her. There was something about the way she listened. The way she'd tilt her head when I talked. Like every word mattered. But little things started to feel off. Like how she never answered calls. Text only. Always. Even if I sent a quick, hey at noon, she wouldn't reply until after 8, like clockwork. And she never showed up without the fog. Every time I saw her, it was misty outside. Not just cloudy, thick, gray fog that rolled in right as she stepped through the door. I mentioned it once. She laughed and said it was just the river. How the damp air rose at night. Mother sensa, I guess. But still. Then there was the coffee. She always ordered the same thing. Oat milk latte, no foam, extra cinnamon. But she never drank it. Just held the cup, let sit, got cold. Sometimes I'd catch her staring into it, like she was looking for something at the bottom. And the music. The Roost only played jazz, but every time she was there, the song would change. Not like the record flipped, like someone swapped it mid-play. Same tempo, same mood, but different melody. I asked the barista once. He looked confused. Said they only had 3 records, played on rotation. None of the songs she heard were on them. I started having dreams. Vivid ones. Me and Maya, sitting in the Roost, but the lights were off. The windows were black. And she'd be talking, but her voice was slow, stretched out, like a tape on low speed. I tried to answer, but my mouth wouldn't move. Then I'd wake up, drenched in sweat, my phone buzzing. Always a message from her. Still awake. Sent at 3:17 a.m. Every time. I try to pull back. Told myself I was getting too deep too fast. Blocked her on Tinder. Stopped texting. For 3 days, nothing. I felt lighter. Slept better. Then I walked past the roost on my way home from work. Lights were off. Sign said closed. But through the window I saw her. Sitting at our usual table. Head down. Not moving. I froze. Watched. The door creaked open, even though it was locked. No wind. No one else on the street. And then the record player started. That same slow, warped jazz tune from my dreams. I didn't go in, but I couldn't stay away. Next night, I went back. Unblocked her. Texted, hey. She replied in seconds. You came back. I didn't answer. Just walked in. She was there. Same sweater. Same cup. Same fog outside, even though the weather app said clear skies. She smiled. I knew you'd return. We talked like nothing happened. But this time I noticed things. The barista wasn't there. No one else in the shop. Just us. The air was thick, hard to breathe. And the coffee. Hers was still full, untouched. Mine was gone, but I didn't remember drinking it. I looked around. The exit sign above the door flickered. The clock on the wall was stuck at 8:07. I checked my phone. It was 11:42. She reached across the table, took my hand. Her skin was cold. Not just cool, like it hadn't felt warmth in years. I tried to pull away, but she held tight. Her eyes locked on mine. You feel it too, don't you? She whispered. The pull. The way time slows when we're together. You belong here. With me. I stood up. Chair screeched. Tried to walk to the door. My legs felt heavy, like I was moving through water. The door was right there. 10 steps. 5. 2. I grabbed the handle. Locked. Turned around. She was still sitting, but now her head was tilted all the way back, staring at the ceiling, smiling. The record player scratched. The music stopped. Silence. Then the lights dimmed lower. The fog outside pressed against the windows, like it was trying to get in, or keep me in. I ran to the bathroom, slammed the door shut, leaned against it. My breath came in gasps. I looked up. The mirror was fogged. Words appeared, written in the condensation. Not by me. You've always been here. I backed up, hit the sink. The faucet turned on by itself. Water black, thick like oil. I didn't scream. Couldn't. My throat was tight. The door handle rattled, then stopped. I waited. Nothing. Slowly, I turned the knob. Opened the door. The shop was empty. Lights normal. Jazz playing. Clock said 8:08. My coffee sat on the table, steaming. Maya gone. Like she'd never been there. I ran out. Didn't look back. I haven't gone near the roost since. Deleted the app. Changed my number. But every night, at 3:17, my new phone buzzes. Same message. Still awake. No sender. Just that text. I don't answer. But I don't sleep either. Last week, I passed the laundromat next to the roost. Still lit up. Through the glass, I saw a machine spinning. But no clothes inside. Just water. Murky slow. And in the far corner, a figure. Curled up, wearing a green sweater. Hair in a messy bun. Didn't move. I stepped closer. The machine door had frost on it. Words etched in the ice. You're running out of time. I backed away. Walked home. My phone buzzed at 3:17. Same text. I looked out the window. Fog. Rolling in from the river. Thick. Quiet. Wrapping around the streetlights. I don't know how long I've been seeing her. I don't know if she's real. But I know this. She's not waiting anymore. She's coming. And next time, the door won't open. It started like any other boring Tuesday. I was sprawled on my couch, scrolling through Tinder like it was some kind of mission. Same faces, same bios, same hey, how's your day? Messages that go nowhere. Then I saw her. Her name was Lila. She had this dark brown hair that looked like it fell just right over her shoulders, and her smile was small but real. Not one of those fake wide ones people force for the camera. Her bio said she liked old horror movies, rainy days, and making playlists no one would ever hear. Something about that felt different. Like she wasn't trying too hard. I swiped right. Match. We started talking that night. Not the usual "you up?" nonsense. Actual conversation. She asked about my favorite book. Remembered I mentioned I liked hiking. Even sent me a link to a song she said reminded her of foggy mornings. I don't know what it was, but I felt something. Not love. Not even attraction at first. Just curiosity. Like she was a puzzle I wanted to figure out. After a few days, she suggested meeting. Not at a bar or a coffee shop. Those are too loud, she said. Too many people pretending to listen. She invited me to her place. Said she lived just outside the city, near the woods. It's quiet, she wrote. You can actually hear yourself think. That sounded kind of nice, honestly. I'd been feeling restless lately, like my brain was stuck on repeat. Maybe a night away from the noise would help. I told my roommate I was going to a friend's cabin for the weekend. Didn't want him to worry. I packed a duffel bag with jeans, a hoodie, and my flashlight just in case. I drove out early Saturday morning, GPS set to the address she gave me. The city faded behind me, buildings turning into fields, then trees. The road got narrower, the pavement cracking. My phone signal blinked in and out like a dying light bulb. When I finally pulled up to the house, it wasn't what I expected. It looked like something out of a horror movie. 2 stories, sagging porch, windows with curtains drawn tight. No cars, no lights on. I texted her, "I'm here," no reply. I waited 5 minutes, then 10. Checked my phone, still no signal. I grabbed my bag and walked up the creaky wooden steps. The front door was unlocked. "Hello," I called out, stepping inside. The air was thick and cool, like the house had been closed up for months. Dust floated in the thin light, coming through the curtains. The living room had an old couch, a coffee table with a single photo frame turned face down, and a record player in the corner. No TV, no laptop, just silence. I walked through the house, calling her name. Kitchen was empty. Bathroom sink had a toothbrush, but it looked unused. Upstairs, 2 bedrooms. One was bare except for a mattress on the floor. The other had a bed with neatly folded blankets, a wooden chair, and a nightstand with a small radio. No signs of anyone living here. No clothes, no makeup, nothing personal. I started feeling it then. Not fear, not yet. Just unease. Like I was being watched, but not by anyone real. The kind of feeling you get when you know you're alone, but your skin still prickles. I went back downstairs, pulled out my phone. Still nothing. I tried calling my roommate. No service. I tried restarting the phone. Same. Then I heard it. A soft hum. Like a radio playing low in another room. I followed it to the kitchen. It was coming from the pantry. I opened the door. Inside, crammed between empty shelves, was a small black radio, glowing faintly. The dial was set to a frequency with no station, just static, but the hum was definitely coming from it. I reached to turn it off. The second I touched it, the music started. Not loud, just a quiet melody, old and scratchy, like it was coming from a record player underwater. I recognized it. "Dream a Little Dream of Me," the version by Ella Fitzgerald. The same song she'd sent me days ago. My chest tightened. I backed out of the pantry and shut the door, like closing it would stop the sound. But the music kept playing, drifting through the house. I grabbed my bag and headed for the door. That's when I saw the photos. Taped to the wall near the front door, hidden behind a coat hanging on a rack, were printed pictures. Dozens of them. All of men. All of me. Not just recent ones. Some were from months ago. Me walking my dog. Me at the gym. Me getting coffee. One was me sleeping, taken from outside my bedroom window. Another showed me in the shower. The glass fogged, but my silhouette clear. My stomach dropped. My hand started shaking. How? When? Why? And then I saw the last photo. It was taken today. Me, standing in front of the house, duffel bag in hand, looking confused. The timestamp said 5 minutes ago. I ran outside. My car was still there, keys in the ignition. I jumped in, turned the engine, nothing. Dead. I slammed the steering wheel. breathing hard. The music from inside was louder now, echoing through the open windows. I looked up at the house. The front door was closed, but I swear I left it open. I got out, circled the house, looking for another way out, a neighbor, anything. The backyard was overgrown. A rusted swing sat leaning to one side. At the edge of the trees, I saw a path. Narrow, barely visible. I followed it, tripping over roots, branches grabbing at my jacket. The music faded behind me, replaced by the sound of my own breath and the crunch of leaves. After 10 minutes, I came to a small clearing. In the center was a wooden post with wires running into the ground. A solar panel sat on top, cracked and dusty. Next to it, a metal box bolted shut. I kicked it. It didn't budge. Then I saw the names. Carved into the post, deep and jagged, were words. Not just one name. Dozens. Asterisk Jason. Daniel. Marcus. Tyler. Asterisk and lower, almost hidden. Asterisk Lila. Asterisk. My brain froze. Lila wasn't the girl. Lila was one of them. I turned and ran back the way I came. Faster this time. Branches whipping my face. When I reached the house, the music had stopped. The front door was open again. Inside, the radio was gone. But the photo on the nightstand upstairs wasn't. I picked it up. It was me, asleep in my bed, and written on the back in shaky handwriting. Asterisk, you're not the first. You won't be the last. She likes them curious. Asterisk. I don't know how long I stood there. Minutes? Hours? The sun was going down, shadows stretching across the floor like fingers. I dropped the photo and left. Walked. Didn't look back. I hitchhiked back to the city. Got a ride from an old guy hauling hay. He didn't ask questions. I didn't offer answers. I went home. Showered. Tried to sleep. But every time I close my eyes, I hear that song. Soft. Familiar. And last night, I found a note on my kitchen counter. Handwritten. Asterisk missed you. Let's try again. Asterisk. No signature. But I know who it's from. And I know she's not done. I never thought swiping right on a random profile would lead to this. I mean, we've all heard the horror stories. People meeting online and ending up in ditches, or worse, being lured into some psycho's basement with candles and a collection of taxidermy raccoons. But that stuff doesn't happen to guys like me. I'm just some dude who works tech support, lives in a studio apartment above a laundromat, and spends most weekends eating cold pizza while rewatching old action movies. Nothing exciting, nothing dangerous. But then I saw her. Her name was Lila. Profile picture showed her leaning against a brick wall in what looked like downtown at night, wearing a red jacket and laughing like someone had just told the funniest joke in the world. Her bio was short. Loves rainy nights, vinyl records, and bad coffee. No selfies with filters, no gym mirrors, no group shots where you can't tell who's who. Just her. Real. And she matched with me within minutes. That should have been the first red flag. But I was tired of being lonely. Tired of talking to my cat like he was my therapist. So I typed back. We messaged for 3 days. Nothing too deep. She liked old horror films, the kind with practical effects and terrible sound mixing. I told her I used to collect VHS tapes as a kid, digging through thrift stores like some kind of analog archaeologist. She said that was cool. Most girls say that like they're humoring me. She didn't. She actually asked questions. Wanted to know what my favorite was, if I still had them, if I ever watched them alone in the dark. Something about the way she asked made my skin feel too tight. We decided to meet. Not dinner. Not a bar. She suggested a place called the Velvet Cellar, some underground record shop that doubles as a listening lounge. Said it opened late, stayed open till 2, and no one really talked much. Just music, dim lights, and the smell of old paper and dust. Sounded weird. Sounded perfect. I arrived early, partly because I'm always early, partly because I couldn't sit at home another second. The shop was tucked between a boarded-up bookstore and a laundromat that closed at 9. A single flickering neon sign buzzed above the door. Records and quiet hours. I pushed inside, and the air changed instantly. Thick, warm, like stepping into a basement that's been sealed for decades. Rows of vinyl stretched into shadow. A few people sat on couches, headphones on, eyes closed. No one looked up. She was already there, sitting in the back corner, legs curled under her, holding a record like she was studying it. When she saw me, she smiled. Not the kind of smile people force. This one started slow, like it had to travel from somewhere deep. She wore the same red jacket. Her hair was dark, slightly messy, like she'd run her fingers through it 100 times. I sat across from her. We didn't hug, didn't shake hands, just nodded, like we'd known each other longer than 3 days. We talked about music, then movies, then silence. Not awkward, just natural, like we were both waiting for the other to say something important. At some point, she leaned forward and said she had a place nearby. Quiet, no roommates. We could keep talking. I hesitated, not because I was scared, but because something in her voice shifted. Like she wasn't inviting me. She was telling me. But I followed. Her apartment was on the 4th floor of an old building with no elevator. The hallway lights buzzed like dying flies. Her door was painted black, number 413 scratched off with silver marker. Inside, it was clean but strange. No TV, no photos, just books stacked in corners, a record player in the center of the room, and a single lamp with a green shade that made everything look underwater. She offered tea. I said yes. While she was in the kitchen, I noticed something. A small hole in the wall near the ceiling, right above the couch. Not a crack. A perfect circle, like something had been drilled. I stared at it too long. When she came back, she followed my eyes, then smiled. "That's how I watch people," she said, handing me a chip mug. I laughed. Nervous. Funny. She didn't laugh. Just sat down, sipped her tea, and said, "I've been watching you for weeks." My stomach dropped. What? Not you personally. Not at first. I watch a lot of guys. From the building across the street. I have a telescope. I set it up every night. I like seeing how they live when they think no one's looking. Most are boring. Eating takeout. Playing video games. Ignoring their pets. But you stand out. I set the mug down. My hands were sweating. "You're messing with me." "I recorded you," she said. "Last Tuesday. You were in your kitchen, making grilled cheese. You paused, looked out the window, and whispered, 'I hope someone sees me.' You said it 3 times. I didn't remember that, but I knew it was true. I had said it, out loud, in the dark, when I thought no one could hear. My throat closed up. "Why are you telling me this?" "Because I like you," she said, "and I wanted you to know everything before we went further." I stood up. "I should go." "You can," she said, "but you won't." I turned to the door, tried the handle. Locked, not bolted, just stuck, like it hadn't been opened in years. "I don't want to scare you," she said, still calm, "but I need you to understand. I don't just watch. I collect. Not things. People. Their routines. Their voices. Their fears. I record them. Keep them. You'd be surprised how many guys beg when they realize the door won't open." I backed toward the window. Looked down. For stories. No fire escape. "You're not the first," she said, "but you're the first who said he wanted to be seen." I remembered then, months ago, posting on a forum late at night. Asterisk, does anyone ever just want to be watched? Like, really seen. Asterisk, I didn't think anyone would respond. But someone did. One message. "I see you." It was her. She stood up, walked to the record player, and put on a tape. Not vinyl. A cassette. Old. Worn. She pressed play. And I heard myself. Me, whispering in my kitchen. Me, talking to my cat. Me, crying after work one night. Me, saying, "I hope someone sees me." Over and over. She smiled. "You gave me permission." I grabbed the lamp, swung it at the window. Glass shattered. Cold air rushed in. I climbed onto the sill, legs shaking. She didn't move. Just watched. "You'll come back," she said. "They always do. Once you've been seen, it's hard to go back to being invisible." I jumped. Not down. Forward. Onto the narrow ledge that ran along the building. I crawled, hands bleeding, wind biting my face, until I reached the next window. Broke it with my elbow. Fell inside. Empty apartment. Dark. Smelled like mildew. I stayed there all night. Listened to sirens. To footsteps above. To the occasional click of a tape starting. In the morning, I called the cops. Told them everything. They went to her place. Found nothing. No tapes. No telescope. No hole in the wall. Just a quiet apartment, a record player, and a single cassette on the table. Labeled him. They said she wasn't registered. No lease. No ID. Like she never existed. I moved out that week. Changed my number. Avoided windows. But sometimes, late at night, I hear a faint click from my laptop. Like a tape starting. And then my own voice, whispering, I hope someone sees me. I don't know if she's real. I don't know if any of it was. But the worst part? I keep hoping she's watching. Then her profile popped up. Lila, 24, into vinyl records, thunderstorms, and quiet nights that turn into something else. Her pictures weren't the usual filtered mess. No duck faces. No mirror selfies in bathrooms. Just one of her laughing on a park bench with a coffee cup. Another of her reading under a tree. And one where she was standing in front of an old movie theater with neon lights behind her. Something about her eyes made me pause. Not just pretty. There was something behind them. Like she knew a secret and wasn't planning to tell. I swiped right. Match. We exchanged the usual garbage. How's your week? What kind of music do you like? Do you believe in ghosts? She said yes, which should have been my first red flag, but I thought it was cute. She suggested we meet at this little dive bar downtown called The Hollow. Said it had the best old-fashioned and zero vibes from basic people. I liked that. I also liked that she suggested it for Friday at 9, not some awkward lunch date or coffee where you have to make small talk over beans. The week crawled by. I kept checking my phone like a loser, waiting for her to message. She didn't. Not until Thursday night, when she sent a single photo, her hand holding a lighter, flame flickering, shadows dancing across her skin. No text, just that. I stared at it longer than I should have. Then I replied, "You trying to set something on fire?" She didn't answer. Friday came. I put on my least wrinkled shirt and drove across town. The Hollow wasn't hard to find. Squat brick building, dim sign, tucked between a laundromat and a shuttered bookstore. Inside, it smelled like old wood, spilled beer, and something faintly sweet, like burnt sugar. There were only a few people scattered around. 2 guys arguing over darts, a woman in the corner reading a book with no cover. And then I saw her. Lila was sitting at the bar, back straight, hands wrapped around a glass. She looked exactly like her photos, maybe even better. Dark hair, sharp jaw, lips painted a deep red that didn't look out of place under the bar's yellow lights. She turned when I approached and smiled, slow, like she'd been expecting me for years. We talked. Not the stiff, awkward crap you get on first dates. Real talk. She asked about my dreams, not the career ones, but the actual dreams I had at night. I told her I kept having this one where I'm walking through an empty house, calling out for someone, but no one answers. She didn't laugh, just nodded and said, "I've been in that house." Then she took a sip of her drink and changed the subject to constellations. It was weird, but not in a bad way. Weird like when you hear a song you've never heard before, but feel like you've known your whole life. We stayed for 2 hours. Then she said she wanted to show me something. Said it was close. I followed her out. It started raining again. Not hard, just a steady drizzle that made the streetlights glow like halos. She walked fast, not looking back, her boots clicking against the wet pavement. I kept up, asking where we were going. She just said, "You'll see." We turned down a narrow alley, then another, streets I didn't recognize, buildings getting older, windows boarded up, graffiti peeling. My phone had lost signal 10 minutes ago. I started to feel that low hum in my chest, the one that says something's off, but you can't figure out what. Finally, she stopped in front of a house. 2 stories, gray siding, porch sagging like it was tired of holding itself up. No lights on inside. A rusted mailbox with no name. "This is it," she said. I looked at her. "What is?" She didn't answer, just walked up the cracked steps and pushed the door open. It wasn't locked. I stood there, rain soaking through my sleeves. Lila, this place looks dead. She turned, her face half in shadow. It's not about the house, she said. It's about the person who's been waiting. I should have left. I know that now. But I didn't. I followed her inside. The air was thick, stale, like it hadn't moved in years. The floor creaked under every step. She led me through a dark hallway, past a kitchen with a sink full of blackened dishes, into a living room with furniture covered in white sheets. One of them was moving. I froze. What the hell? Lila didn't react. She walked to the center of the room and turned to face me. You've been dreaming about this place for months, she said. You just didn't know it was real. My heart was hammering. I don't know what you're talking about. She smiled again. You do. You just haven't let yourself remember. Then she pulled something from her coat. A Polaroid camera. Old, scratched. The kind people used in the 70s. She raised it, pointed it at me. I took a step back. What are you doing? Capturing you, she said. Before you forget again. The flash went off. Bright, sudden, like a lightning strike in a closed room. For a second, everything went white. When I could see again, she was holding the photo, watching it develop. I moved closer, against every instinct screaming at me to run. The image slowly formed me, standing in the room, eyes wide, mouth open. But behind me, in the corner, something else. A shape, tall, thin, hunched, with too many fingers splayed against the wall. It wasn't in the room when I looked. I backed up, hitting the sheet-covered couch. That's not there, I whispered. Lila looked at me calm. It's always there. It follows people who dream too loud. It feeds on memories, especially the ones you try to bury. I shook my head. This isn't real. You're messing with me. She reached into her coat again. This time, she pulled out a stack of photos, handed them to me. One by one, I flipped through them. Me sleeping in my bed. Me walking to my car last week. Me eating alone at a diner. All taken from outside, through windows, from angles no one should have had. And in every single one, faint but unmistakable, the same shadowy figure in the background. My hand started shaking. How long have you been watching me? Since you first dreamed of the house, she said. I've been trying to warn you, but you never listened the first time. What do you mean, the first time? She stepped closer. You've been here before. Last year. You don't remember because it took that memory. That's how it works. It lets you forget, so you'll come back. And I find you. And I try to help. But you never believe me. You always leave. And then it gets you again. I stared at her. That's insane. She didn't blink. Check your phone. I pulled it out. No signal. But I opened the gallery, scrolled to my oldest photos. And there it was, a picture of this house. Taken a year ago. Same angle. Same broken step on the porch. I don't remember taking it. I don't remember being here. My breath came fast. No. No way. Lila's voice dropped. It's not just the house it wants. It wants the people who remember it. That's why I'm here. I was like you. I dreamed. I came. I forgot. But the second time, I didn't leave. I stayed. I learned. And now I help others. Or I try. I looked around the room. The sheet on the couch moved again. Slowly, like something was shifting underneath. We need to go, I said, voice cracking. She shook her head. It's too late. You're already here. It knows you're back. The temperature dropped. My breath fogged. From the corner of my eye, I saw it. The figure, stepping out from behind the sheet. Tall. Skin like cracked leather. Its face was wrong, like it had been stretched and stitched back together. It didn't walk. It slid, like it wasn't fully touching the floor. I turned to Lila. Help me. She looked at me, eyes sad. I tried. Then she stepped aside. The thing reached for me. I tried to run, but my legs wouldn't move. It touched my shoulder, and suddenly, I wasn't in the house anymore. I was in my apartment. Friday night. Rain tapping the window. My phone buzzed. Tinder notification. New match, Lila. I smiled, not thinking twice. Typing back. Hey, you free tonight? And somewhere, in a house I've never seen, a Polaroid flash goes off.